Hey man, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode, I don't know, we'll just work on broken stuff. Let's start with this Ford 6.0 diesel, 2005 model, bulletproofed, with the EGR relocation kit and all bulletproof stuff. But the problem was, it was pouring out antifreeze all over the ground when I went to pick up my new tractor tires. Let's take a look in here and see if we can't figure out what's going on. Oh yeah. Welcome to Man Time. So you can see while I'm in here, I'm doing a little routine maintenance and service and checking my air filter. It looks dirty, but these things can supposedly hold like, I don't know, 10 pounds of dirt before they actually need changing. All of my radiator hoses are just like garbage. Like this one here, like I thought it was this little, I don't know, it bleeds back into the radiator, and it looked like it may have had a crack in it, or, I mean, it's definitely not looking like what it's supposed to be looking like, right? But what it looked like was the degas, the seal around the degas actually came apart. And the first time I was in here, I've done an EGR on this vehicle twice now. The first time I just replaced it with all Motocraft like Ford OEM parts. And at that time we replaced this out. And this is the updated version. And you can tell because the cap on it is a little bit different than the original stuff. But it was just like leaking like right here. And I thought it was probably just this hose, or this, you know, little nipple coming off of the degas. Or maybe this one, it was kind of, looked like it was dripping down on this side here. This is sitting in there like this. And it's pretty simple to get out of there. Matter of fact, I've taken this in and out a few times. There's a hose that connects on right here that has a Y, and it's an assembly like that from Ford. And you can't just like replace the hose. It's got like, you know, swedged on fittings on all three sides of the Y. But yeah, I was driving along one day and all of a sudden just really pissing radiator fluid. That Y piece in there had cracked, and so it was down to get that new Y piece from Ford. But yeah, not too bad to get this out. There's just two screws that hold it in right here. There's 1, 2, 3 hoses, and then it just kind of slips out and around your ficum, and there you go. But let's take a look in here and kind of see what we're looking at. I'm also going to probably replace these hoses because they just look like garbage also. But it's amazing how quickly this thing degrades, you know, from this to this in a matter of, man, I've probably had this truck for probably got it in 2015, so just not quite 10 years, and then 2016 put on the new degas. So this is, you know, seven-ish years old, looking like that, and now just completely failing. So, and this may not be Ford OEM Motocraft. There's no, let's see here, there's some writing on it. It says mold 3231-1. That one says made in Taiwan. This one doesn't say anything, really. There's a couple little spots, but I mean, there's no crack. Like I've you know, sprayed this off with water, looked over the whole thing. I don't see any cracks or anything. It looks like the seam just kind of gave way. And yeah, anyway. Alright, let's take a look in here, see what we're looking at to get this repaired on. Yeah, I mean, everything is just so tight in here, it's hard to really see. But this is your Y pipe right underneath of that degas. And like I said, this had broke previously. But yeah, you need to basically hook this up first and then get your degas in there. You can hook it up with the degas bottle in there, but yeah, it's not too bad. You need a pair of right angle long nose pliers for that one right there. Looking at like the radiator hose is all, I mean, it's been like that, but all of these silicone type hoses, you know, they just, that one looks alright, but that one is going down to the EGR. The bulletproof one still uses antifreeze over air for the cooling. Got a fuel filter up here, oil filter, and then this stuff here represents the bulletproof kit that's on there, going up here to an air-cooled oil system. But yeah, I was thinking I needed to get this off to be able to loosen this up and rotate it out of the way to get down there to get that little clamp off of this upper rad hose if I want to get that off of there. But we'll see. Sometimes the Gates ones, they don't even fit. They used to make a pretty decent hose, but yeah, I just don't know anymore. Okay, well, let's get this degas in, and that's the, I guess, correct name for this thing is a degas. All right, so here's our degas, and one thing I noticed, like this was all really out of shape. Yeah, it's hard to say if this is. I mean, this is definitely aftermarket. This is O'Reilly brand Dorman, but I mean, at least it's in, you know, good condition. So there's a slot for this to go in right back here. I think I'm just gonna try to hook up this hose with this thing on there. See, these have to line up. There we go. Nope, almost. There we go. Leave these loose in here, and then try to get this lower Y pipe hooked up. Yeah, I can do it from here, and the key to that is this right here. Getting onto that clamp with the drop that. Getting onto that clamp from the side, so you can see it here. And then sliding it up and over. Okay, so that's hooked up. Clamp looks good. Clamp is clamped. So you can get that on there like that, and then it's just a matter of these. Now, I did want to replace this hose because of that little crinkly crink deal going on there. And this is like a silicone, I don't know, it's just not very good. You can replace it with, what is this, fuel line, 50, well this one only goes up to 50 PSI. Gates SAE30R7 3/8. And it seems to just fit right on there. I mean, I could probably get away with not even using clamps. Yeah, that's not even coming off of there now. So I'm just going to cut this and have this be my new line here. Have something to do that with. Yeah. Okay, so 3/8 fuel line, that fixed up that little deal. If antifreeze starts spraying out, I guess I'll know what's going on. But there, I got some extra clamps. We'll put that in our metric go bag, and we'll probably keep that in the cab just in case. I do want to try out this Gates hose before I replace it. Look at how flimsy and nasty this thing is. The silicone type of stuff is just not very good. yeah, that's gonna fit on there real nice. So the problem is getting down to that. I think I want to loosen and take off this turbo line. Let's finish doing this first. Just peace of mind here. Have this all hooked up. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's see what size. 12, maybe? Nope. All the hardware on this thing is just really, really small. 11? Really? I'm going to spec it out to an 11. Okay. That's what you want to do. That is what we'll do. To take this off. Yeah, with that one loose, I can take this one off, and now I can get down there with a again, long set of needle nose is the main tool for all of these. Alright, well that worked. And then we can switch this out for the new hose. Yeah, I mean you can see it was still doing radiator hose things, but not very well. Yeah, so right down here is where we're trying to get at, and it's a whole lot easier, you know, with this moved out of the way, getting this new one on there. But yeah, Vaseline goes a long way trying to get these hoses back on there. There we go. And now, while we're here, we'll pre-Vaseline. Get that one all ready. Okay. Rag, nope, just pants today. Okay, is it going to be easier maybe to... Well, it's either going to hold or it won't. Now on to maybe the hardest part of this whole job, and that is getting the air filter on here. Now the problem is, you've got to get it started like underneath. Oh shoot. Well, keeping those in hand. Okay. I don't see where that went. And this is no joke. This is seriously ridiculously hard to get this on here. There's two kind of latches that have to go in, and in order to get them on there, I mean, you've got to be somewhat of a contortionist. Yeah, so this kind of sits, and you can't see nothing, of course, you know. But yeah, there's little tabs that have to go inside of the actual air filter, and getting those lined up and in there is just a nightmare. I mean, you can't see nothing, of course. I think I got one. I got them. Okay, those are in. Yeah, so the best way is just to kind of feel, you know, down through there. And then we can get these back on. And these things just love to fall out. And then same with this side. You've got to really kind of feel it out to get it in there. And that. So that's not it. I got it filled up with fluid. It's warm enough. Hopefully we should not see any leaks. All right, so there doesn't appear to be any leaks. Doesn't appear to be any leaks from up here. That hose, new hose looks dry. That looks dry. Let's get in here and take a good hard look. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anything we just did leaking. No leaking off the Y pipe. Let's take a look underneath. Oh, great. Yeah, so here we're just pouring antifreeze from somewhere. Yeah, that's fresh antifreeze. Now I drove through a mud puddle, but that's just steady leaking. Yeah, that's antifreeze leaking all down there. So here again, we have to just tear everything apart to get to the juicy center of the Tootsie Pop. It looked like it was coming from down in here somewhere. I checked this pipe. That's to this Y pipe. Again, this is the one that cracked and is Ford factory replacement a few years ago. Yeah, it's just, there's so many things that's got radiator fluid running through it. But what I did find, actually, right here, if you can look kind of close, maybe you can see what's wrong. Is anything wrong with that? Nah, that'll be fine. So that was sealing this new radiator hose, and that was probably my mistake. If you look real close on there, you can see the rust, and that indicates, you know, it's been like that for a long time. And just all of a sudden, I guess decided to stop working. But man, it's nice working with all this stuff. So you got to take the battery tray out to then get this pipe out to then be able to actually, you know, kind of see what you're doing in here. But totally worth it. Makes working in here a whole lot easier. But yeah, there's so many like single-use crush gasket and O-ring type of radiator fluid connections in here. It's so hard to, you know, see what's what. But I'm going to put a new hose clamp on here and double check all these other hose clamps, and then put it back together. Ooh, country folks shooting big guns. Yeah, I mean some of these projects are just so ridiculous. Oh man. Yeah, I mean I saw it just kind of streaming down these lines and dripping, you know, down in that way. It looked like it was coming down the side of the block too, which, I mean, this. So when they did this whole engine has been, you know, apart, heads off, new head gaskets, new head studs. When we did the bulletproof, did that. New injectors, nice made in China. New, you know, lines. There's electronic wires inside of there. Those are all new. And turbo's looking pretty good. It's good to see. But I think I'm just going to go back with like a standard clamp here. See if we can do this. Yeah, I mean that looked kind of like where it was coming from. Oh, we got a leaker. Man, I hope that's going to fit on there. Dang it. Yeah, that fits on there. Yeah, I mean, that's what it should have come with from the get-go. Okay, so now it's got radiator fluid all over it, so I'm going to spray it off, blow it out, and that way we can kind of start fresh. What is this? Power steering. Okay, so that's the power steering pump. It was just oozing off the power steering pump, but I think that was because it was running down here and then down onto the power steering pump. So let's see if we can kind of get an order of operations. It'd be nice to be able to run the stupid thing like that, but you really can't. I mean, you've got to, put all of this stuff back on. Oh, nice, got some oil in there. Yeah, and there's definitely some oil in the antifreeze. What that's all about, hell, I don't know. But, yeah, that goes on there. This thing runs up and into here. Make sure that looks like that's best like that. This will be on the other side of that. Like that. And I think those are both 11s. So we got that hooked up there, and I think it's just battery tray immediately next. I could go and get this hooked up here, but either way, that doesn't, I mean, so that's fine like that. I think these are a 7. No, 8. I think that was the last 11. Yeah, when my ASE mechanic buddy came over and we were doing the EGR the first time it failed, which was actually the second time on the vehicle at 135,000 miles, go figure. He brought out his, I think he had a Milwaukee like 14 volt or something, and I immediately went and got one of those for the next time I was working on something, not necessarily this, but definitely this. It is so handy. That hooked up. Okay, so that's ready to go. Let's get our battery box in here. Show you how that goes. I guess it's kind of easier to get it all without this in the way. There it goes. Okay, so there is, yeah, that sits down in there pretty nice. Let's see here, four bolts holding this in with a bracket to hold this little module thing. I think these were 13. They just make vehicles so frickin' cheap anymore. I can see why these mechanics want to get paid more. Or they are getting paid more. Yeah, 13. Some of the shops now are charging $200 an hour. And I mean, if you don't work on stuff yourself like this, I mean, it is really expensive to try to own a vehicle of this age pairs like this. I mean, just really difficult to try to, you know, do all this by yourself. Okay. There's where that goes. Okay, that's in there. I can probably get my battery back in here now. Yeah, let's do that before we get any more stuff in here. Well, yeah, it's, again, pretty much the same either way. That goes there. That's probably there like that. Getting this friggin' filter set in here again. Man, that's one thing they don't tell you buying these old trucks. I mean, you're just constantly running into wiring problems, hose problems, like anything that is silicone, rubber, or, you know, electrical, copper, corroding, stuff like that. All of the plastic connectors, my goodness. Anyways, so I guess the degas bottle leaking from the seam was the actual problem. Putting this hose back on, that clamp, I couldn't really get, you know, any good holding power from those pliers to get it on there really straight. And of course you can't see anything down there, so taking it all out like that, it wasn't that hard. I should have just probably done that. Taking the battery box out, that'll allow you to get down there and get that turbo inlet pipe off of there and, you know, be able to do it correctly. The hose clamp that I used was an O'Reilly 1 5/16 to 2 1/4 part number MP5528V. MP5528V. So that's the upper radiator hose clamps there that work. Yeah, other than that, I've been letting it run for about 15 minutes now. This upper rad hose is swelled, you know, and hot, and no leaks or anything. So that was the problem, the degas bottle. But luckily I could see that, and the deal was, like, I was driving home, or had to stop immediately and, like, you know, get water to put in there. I didn't know how long it had been leaking. By the time I actually got the hood open, the hood doesn't open, of course, because when they took the body off to do the engine rebuild and stuff, now the hood doesn't unlatch when you hit the button from the inside unless you're holding up on it. So I've got a chainsaw or tree wedge to shove up under here between the hood so I can open it up next time. By the time I got somebody to help me out, it had stopped leaking. So then I filled it up with, I got some radiator fluid at the gas station, drove to the next gas station, found somebody else a little bit quicker, was able to get the hood open and see it kind of dripping from, like, back in this area just below the degas bottle. So yeah, it was a little concerning when all of a sudden, you know, it started leaking from lower, but it was just that clamp, I guess. Anyways, it's gonna do it for today on Man Time, guys. Get out there, have you some man time too.